Hello and welcome to our JOpt.TourOptimizer demo provided by DNA Evolutions. We at DNA Evolutions are dealing with huge vehicle routing problems. So we try to write algorithms to calculate what is the most optimal way to send a resource or driver to customers or nodes. Usually we provide this as a software package that you can integrate into your existing source code in a black box manner in the backend. So what you see here is the startup view of our demo application. And here you can see the problem setup that I loaded for you. You can see two resources in red. One is called Jane and one is called Jack. And the goal is to visit the blue nodes in the most optimal way. After loading the application, we can press Start Optimization right away. And this settings dialog will open where you can change some of the weightages. For example, we could change the route distance, so meaning a higher value will motivate the optimizer to end up with smaller total route distances. However, for now, we just keep it as it is and we start the optimization right away. Here you see a small indicator. And after the optimization is done, you see the optimization solution. You have this header part. So here in our example problem, we have two resources. Each of them has one working day, and therefore we have two routes. In total, both resources are working for about 14 hours. You can also jump into the individual routes, for example, Jane from Darmstadt. You can then also request full details. There another header opens for this special route. And for example, what you see is that Jane is working for about 8 hours. And here the path is describing essentially which cities Jane is visiting. So she goes from Nuremberg to Heilbronn to Stuttgart, and this in time means we are not late and we are not early. You can also press on more details, and then, for example, you see she's staying there for 30 minutes. As a side note, sometimes you see this little icon. If you press that, you can get a little bit more information from our documentation website. Okay. In addition, you can also open the raw result. So this is the console output that the optimizer is giving. If you like, you can also have a look at that. So in the next step, we want to deal a little bit with the map itself. So first of all, we make it bigger, and then let's just zoom into one of the routes. So what you can see here is that Jane is visiting Nuremberg. In the next step, what we want to do is we want to modify the resources and the nodes. So if you click on a resource, you end up in this property dialog, Jane from Darmstadt, and you could, for example, modify the working hours. So when she is allowed to work here from 8 to 5. And you can also modify the maximum working time. For example, let's make this 8 hours, for example. Let's save it and close. So another thing we want to do, as you can see, Jane is visiting Nuremberg. But let's now assume that Jack has a certain skill that Nuremberg requires. So we open this Nuremberg tab. And so first what we want to do, we can also do some modifications here. Let's make the visit duration 60 minutes, so meaning we stay for 60 minutes at Nuremberg instead of 30 minutes. And now let's add a so-called binding resource. A binding resource means that the node requests a certain resource as a visitor. Let's take here Jack from Cologne. In addition, we make it a hard constraint, so meaning the optimizer is not allowed to violate this condition. Okay, let's save and close, and we have to rerun the application. So we can do this right away from this map interaction menu. Let's keep the settings as they are, and let's simply press Start Optimization. Let's close that. And as you can see, something interesting is happening. So now Jane is going up, visiting all the nodes in the north, and Jack is now visiting all the nodes in the south because he has to visit Nuremberg. So this indeed is the most optimal solution to this problem. Let's make that smaller again. In addition, if you want to modify nodes or resources, you can also do this from this tab. So either click on the map or select a node or resource from this menu. Let's open Nuremberg again. And we can also, in this property tab, we can also see what is the last result. And as you can see, the 60 minutes that we set are now the duration in the result. Okay, let's close that again. So in the last step, I want to show you how to change the example. So we have a few examples in here, and you can click simply another example. You get a small description, then you can simply press load, and then you see the changed problem set. If you have any other questions or you want to get more information and you like what you see, then please contact us. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.